So we've talked about classes, and we now know how to create classes, properties, and initializers, and methods, and overriding, inherit, and all that great stuff. Although classes are a great asset to the whole realm of development, in Swift, there is another structure, no pun intended, called struct or structures that are similar to classes, but they are with a better footprint, if you will. So the difference between a class and a struct. Classes and structs, they don't have a lot of differences in terms of how we create them, if you think about it. However, there are advantages to using structs in Swift. In fact, Apple favors structs over classes in many cases. In fact, that's what you're going to see the most in a lot of code, structs instead of classes. That doesn't mean you cannot use classes, of course, as you saw it here. Now, both of them are very similar syntactically speaking, and of course in terms of the functionality. Let's go ahead and create a struct real quick at the top here. I'm going to just come down here. I'm going to say struct like that. So to create a struct, you say struct like that is a structure, and you give a name of that structure. I'm going to say microphone again. Let's give it something else. Let's say person. I think it's better. And then voila. And of course, you can go ahead and create properties just like what we did. So I'm going to say var name is a string. Say var age. For a change, this is going to be an int. Voila. And now we have a nice struct. Now, the cool thing about struct is that I can come down here and create an actual var, or I can say let James be equal to person. So now I can go ahead and instantiate a structure there, right? This is indeed an object. Now notice right away it says missing argument parameter name. So I'm going to click here and fix that right away. And I can make name is going to be James. Okay, voila. And I can come down here and say print and print James dot name. So next we need to go ahead and add another parameter, which is the age, and I'm going to say 90 years old. So I can come down here and do just like what we did with classes. I can say James dot name. Okay, I'm going to print that. We should see at the bottom here in our console, hopefully it says James. See, there's really no difference here. But the cool thing, notice that we didn't have to actually add an initializer. We could if we wanted to, but structs are simple in the sense that most of the things that we have to do with classes, create initializers and so forth, structs right away knows exactly that you need initializers and you can pass them as parameters as you see here. Okay. Now, structures and classes in Swift, like I said, have many things in common. Both of them can define properties to store values, define methods to provide functionality, define initializers to set up initial value, initial state. They can be extended to expand their functionality beyond the default. You can extend them and so many other things. So classes have additional capabilities that structures don't have. One of which is inheritance, which enables one class to inherit the characteristics of another. There's this thing called typecasting, which enables us to check the type of a class instance at a runtime, right? So if you have a string and then you have an int, you can typecast certain things from int to string or from string to integers and so forth. However, all of these capabilities that structs don't have and classes do, it is actually what makes classes a little bit more complicated, quote unquote, when we are developing Swift applications. That's the reason why Swift has the simpler version, I would call it, of class, which is the struct. Now, both of them can be used at the same time, but most of the times you will see most developers. In fact, when we go back and looked at SwiftUI and creating applications using the Apple iOS platform and so forth, you see the usage of struct more often than you'll see the usage of classes. All right, so that's a very simple introduction of struct there, because anything else is pretty much the same as classes. But I just want to give you the heads up and give you this other spectrum that comes with Swift in general.